Villa Park, formerly part of Aston Lower Grounds, was not the first home of Aston Villa FC. Their previous venue, Wellington Road, faced increasing problems including an uneven pitch, poor spectator facilities, a lack of access and exorbitant rents. As a result, in 1894 Villa's committee, led by Frederick Rinder, began negotiations with the owners of the Aston Lower Grounds, the finest sports ground in the district. Situated in the former grounds of Aston Hall, a Jacobean stately home, the lower grounds had seen varied uses over the years. Originally the kitchen garden of Aston Hall's owner Sir Thomas Holt, after whom the Holt End Stand was named, the lower grounds later became a Victorian amusement park with an aquarium and a great hall. The current pitch stands on the site of the Dovehouse Pool, an ornamental pond that was drained in 1889. In place of the pool, the owners of the lower grounds built a cycle track and sports ground that opened on the 10th of June 1889 for a combined cycling and athletics event before a crowd of 15,000. Negotiations continued for 2 years before the Villa Committee reached agreement with the site's owner, Edgar Flower, to rent the site for £300 per annum on a 21-year lease with an option to buy it at any point during the term. Much of the credit for the design of Villa Park must go to Villa chairman Frederick Rinder, who as a trained surveyor, is said to have laid down every level and line of the ground himself before construction began. The committee immediately engaged an architect who began preparing plans for the site, which included construction of a new 440 yards 400 meters cement cycle track to replace the existing cinder one. The main stand was to be built to the east on the Witten Lane side, with the track and pitch fully enclosed by banking. Construction of the final phase of the stadium began in late 1896 after negotiations with contractors over the price. Several months behind schedule, the almost complete stadium opened with a friendly against Blackburn Rovers on the 17th of April 1897, which ended as a 3-0 win, 1 week after Aston Villa had completed the League and FA Cup double. The process of fixing issues with the building work continued for several months. As built, the stadium could house 40,000 spectators, most of whom stood in the open on the banking. After winning the league championship in 1899, Villa's record-breaking average crowd of 21,000 allowed the club to invest in a 2-stage ground improvement program. The first stage extended the terrace covering on the Trinity Road side at the cost of £887. The second cost £1,300 and involved relaying all terracing around the track to remedy a design flaw that caused poor sightlines for the majority of the crowd. In 1911, Villa bought the freehold of the ground for £8,250, the office buildings in the old aquarium and car park area for £1,500 and the carriage drive and bowling green for £2,000. This was the first stage in plans drawn up by Villa director Frederick Rinder that saw the capacity of Villa Park increased to 104,000. In June 1914, another phase of enhancements began at Villa Park to compete with improvements at other grounds around the country, including Everton's Goodison Park, where a new 2-tiered stand had just been completed. The first stage of improvements saw the cycling track removed, new banking at the Holt End, and a re-profiling of all the terracing to bring it closer to the newly squared-off pitch. Rinder turned to the renowned architect Archibald Leach to design a new Villa Park. The joint plans included large banked end stands at the Holt and Witten ends and the incorporation of the original Victorian lower grounds buildings, including the aquarium and the newly acquired bowling greens. The outbreak of the First World War severely hampered design and construction efforts. As a result of inflation, 1919 quotes for the implementation of the pre-war construction plans came to £66,000, compared to the 1914 quote of £27,000. By March 1922 this price had reduced to £41,775, and the directors pushed ahead with the plans for the new Trinity Road stand. Construction began in April 1922 with the stand partially opened in August. Construction continued throughout the 1922-1923 season, with the stand officially opened on the 26th of January 1924 by the then Duke of York, later King George VI. He commented to Rinder that he had no idea that a ground so finely equipped in every way, and devoted to football, existed. On completion, the Trinity Road stand was considered one of the grandest in Britain, complete with stained glass windows, Italian mosaics, Dutch gables in the style of Aston Hall and a sweeping staircase.